Hey everyone, welcome back to E3 2017. It is the Free For All podcast, your source for all things geek. I'm one of your hosts, Josh Barnett, alongside Evan Swafford.
Hello.
And Chuck died from dehydration.
We stayed here too long last night.
Yeah, sun exposure, too much time in the steam room because his air conditioning is broke. It's hot as hell, and it's just us left.
We need to start a Kickstarter campaign.
We're hiring, so if anybody, wants to have a job that doesn't pay anything,
And if you can fix an air conditioner.
and that'll cause a lot of strife and tension in group chats, hit us up at podcast@freeforgeeks.com.
That is kind of where we live.
It really, really is. Anyway, so this is day 2 is kind of in the books. We're going to go back and recap a little bit about what happened at day 0.5, which is for EA Play.
Right.
And then last night at
Is
Bethesda.
that what we're calling this?
Yeah, I mean, it kind of is. Let's be fair.
All right.
It's not really E3, according to certain people's predictions.
It's really not.
Anyway, so EA kicked the whole thing off yesterday. They had a decent showing overall. They had a lot of sports game focus. They had a lot of the stuff that you would expect, focused a lot more on Battlefield than I expected them to.
I was surprised they opened with it.
Yeah. And we should preface this again by saying that mostly what we're going to be doing is kind of hitting some of the bigger bullet points or just a few games that we want to highlight. For in-depth coverage of every single conference that has happened so far, make sure you watch our overall E3 wrap-up or listen to the podcast when it drops on iTunes later on. But for EA, the big standout for me wasn't Battlefront, although we'll talk about that here in just a minute.
Right.
It's actually A Way Out.
Absolutely. It was my favorite show, my favorite game shown for EA by a lot. The EA, was it a Play? Is that what they're doing with like
EA
the indie studios?
No, EA Play is their event. EA
Okay.
Origins or Originals.
Yeah.
EA Originals is like this kind of started when
They started with Unravel.
Yeah, Unravel and Yarny came out, and they kind of had like their new Yarny guy, but it was the exact opposite.
Didn't you call him the Russ Hanneman?
Yeah, he is. He's the Russ Hanneman of Yarny guys. He is like as awkward on stage as Mr. Yarny, but with like the most boisterous possible personality.
Right. I was just glad he wasn't wearing sunglasses because back when in Summer of Arcade, when that was a thing, and Brothers hit, which was this guy that did Brothers Tale of Two Sons, and he just came across as the biggest douchebag. Like, he was really excited about his game, and he made a good game. Max, always Max. But like he had sunglasses on. I was like, "You're in a recording studio." Yeah. I was like, "It's not bright."
No, I mean, well, to be fair, like Suda51 has been kind of like that. Hideo Kojima doesn't go anywhere without his 80s style leather bomber jacket.
True.
Like,
I mean,
they're characters.
Someone's gonna assassinate me for this, but they're all kind of douchey as well.
Yeah, but at the same time,
Especially
like there's some like fun to it all. Actually, Suda was kind of funny at.
Yeah, he's not a bad guy.
Did you watch? So actually, we didn't talk about this. We kind of talk about it a little bit. Did you watch the Devolver Digital thing as well?
Yeah, I liked it.
Did you?
I thought it was funny.
It felt like amateur hour in a way. Like, I get what they were going for, but it didn't quite hit for me.
It's the guys that made Hotline Miami.
I get it. Like, and like for the first couple minutes, it's like, this is really funny when she shot the gun in the air to shut everybody up, and like the whole satire.
Was like, you're a professional journalist.
Yeah, it was kind of funny. But actually, A Way Out is this forced split screen co-op, either online or couch co-op. Hopefully couch for everybody. 70s prison break game.
Yeah, I mean, at least in part.
Yeah, because they did show stuff outside of the prison.
It's like season 2 of Prison Break, the show then, where they're on the run. And, hopefully we'll just stop at season 2, because after that it kind of all downhill from there.
Yeah, because everybody watched Prison Break season 2.
They did.
I've seen all of the Prison Break episodes.
In Prison Break
not
season
zero.
3, they end up in like a third world country prison for no apparent reason.
Aren't all prisons really third world country prisons?
I mean, I guess. I don't know, thankfully.
I mean, I've never served time either, but I'm just saying. But this looked really, really cool. The whole idea is that like it's persistent split screen, and you're both playing different characters in one single scene at a time. So you're these two guys trying to break out from prison, and one character could be going and doing the actual action or hiding in a laundry basket, and the other person's walking them out, or some person's getting their cell shaken down while you're digging a hole in your cell or whatever. Like, it's really kind of a cool combination of mechanic and storytelling that I think looks awesome.
No, yeah, I think it works totally. The interesting thing for me is, like, how will this play to the public?
Right.
Because you're talking about, if you want to play with a friend, you've got to convince somebody to buy this game. unless you're doing couch co-op. Couch co-op, yes, and I mean that's really what they're pushing here.
Yeah.
But I mean, let's be honest, most people are going to play this online.
Yeah, not everybody can really get the time together, or lives with somebody, or can go visit somebody's house and do this. But I mean, for those who will or those who can, I think it's an awesome idea.
The last couch co-op game we had was what, The Cave?
It's the last one we played.
Yeah, like the major one that we were like, yes, we're all playing that together.
I mean, to be fair,
and The Cave was fucking wonderful.
It was a great game until you chose the time travel.
It's the best.
For 2.5 hours. But obviously, that looks really cool. The biggest focus of the conference in general was Star Wars Battlefront, in which we saw 5 seconds of single-player gameplay.
Yeah, and it was weird because they hyped up the John Boyega tweet that started like a firestorm of like when he's talking about, he's like, hey, are we not going to get some single-player campaign? And which, to be fair, is what a lot of people wanted.
That's what I wanted.
They opened up with that, and I was like, yes. And then like
they brought out
a little bit of that.
Yeah, they brought out Shiva from the League, who plays the protagonist / antagonist of that game, because you are part of the.
Bless her heart, she tried hard.
She really did, man. She tried to take all of Aisha Tyler's personality from Ubisoft and just throw it onto EA stage, and I kind of worked, but kind of really, really didn't.
It wasn't bad.
Yeah.
It's just like, I mean, I get 30 minutes of Star Wars, but I thought we'd see a lot of different parts of Battlefront, but we really just saw a 30-minute multiplayer match.
Man, it was long. And, like, there were some cool parts to it. I thought the Jedi stuff has always looked weird in those games to me, because it's not as fluid as
most people can't control it, and the ones that can dominate.
And it's not
like the Darth Maul guy.
It doesn't look as fluid or scripted as it does in a single player third-person action game where you're like wielding lightsaber or sword and shield and stuff like that, because you're working with shooter mechanics in a melee combat system, and it like throws you into third person, and you're hitting a button as Darth Maul and diving 30 feet through the air and just slicing through everybody. And does it kill them? Does it not? Like, the whole thing, it just feels like nothing ever really connects, and everybody's jumping around awkwardly. And it like, ever since they introduced those in original Battlefront 2, I didn't love the Jedi characters or the hero characters to begin with. But the actual straight up like just gun gameplay looked really cool. I like that it's a mode that feels more similar to original Battlefront and not last model.
Some of the aerial stuff looked better than it did.
Yeah, the spending points to like get
battle
those
points
as power
was a big
ups.
thing for me. Like I don't care for Battlefront. It's not my thing. I don't like dice shooters. I don't care for Battlefield all that much. It's just not my style. I mean, more power to you. It's not a bad game. Battlefield 1 was a tremendous game. It just wasn't for me. I don't like all the people. Like, the maps are so big. I feel like I die every time I spawn from some random dude that's way better than me, and it just makes me furious.
I can understand that.
But the battle points was a big thing for me, because people aren't camping on spots that tokens are going to appear. It actually... You're accruing points based on your performance, and there's a lot of ways to accrue that, not just based on kill streak, where you're playing the objective,
capturing
stuff
objectives.
Like that. That's important,
like that.
Because it makes the game work better.
I liked the like phases in combat. It's just, for me, like, I still miss, because original Battlefront and even Battlefront 2, like, just running to an area on the map where the ships spawn, and like being able to get them, and not like one token,
like
and that's the only
old
person.
Halo and old
school I mean, like on Cloud City on Bespin for the original Battlefront, like you could get a Y-wing, you can get a B-wing, you can get an X-wing, and like you could just I
don't know stuff about Star Wars.
Or like a cloud car, anything like that. You could just hop in.
Cloud car?
Anyway,
no.
I actually don't know if that's the name. I can't remember, but it sounds right. It sounds right.
It's like the Fantastic Car for Fantastic Four.
Shut up. Anyway, you just like would hop into that, and then you had 10 to 15 people fighting in like the very large overall like open world area, and then also you had like 4 to 7 like ships flying all around at one time, and there was actually more than just one ship in the air fighting. And so I hope you get that feeling more. It was just cool because it felt like it was all fluid and not just being spent by points.
It's hard to see because that there was a way they wanted that game to go. While it was real players, they still, I'm sure, kind of knew where that was going to go.
Yeah.
Now, like, the Phase 3 is the battlefield shrinks and it forces them inside. I was like, I could, if it was all the Phase 3 stuff, like close quarters combat, I'd be all over that. They made a special mention that one of the pros that they had playing mentioned that all the guns felt distinctive. That was another big point for me.
Hopefully that's actual.
Yeah, in the, or not original, but Battlefront 1 or just Battlefront.
Yeah.
Every gun shot the same, no recoil, no nothing. Like, I was just like, I didn't think it was a great shooter. I thought the original had great graphics and great sound design.
Yeah,
and this one has that in spades too, because it looked and sounded great.
Yeah,
but...
I'm also like really, really happy that they brought back the classes. Because last game it was like you earned cards that you ended up using for your loadouts, and then there was like really no swapping in the middle of a game or whatever.
Yeah, I'd never like that.
But every time you die, like you can, if it's anything like before, you just have these different classes that they have set up, and you can kind of change them up a little bit as you go and customize them. But I really, really like that. They've said since that it has microtransactions, but all the DLC itself is free, so you'll get like skin packs and things like that.
Over and over again, they're like, "We listened to you." I mean, and good on you. Everybody should do that. They said a whole lot, and then they are doing micro. But I mean, for skins and stuff like that, that's fine. I mean, if you want those, pay for them. It's not that big a deal.
Absolutely. Moving on to Bethesda last night.
Bethesda.
At midnight Eastern time.
No joke.
Shoot.
I was like, that was. I mean,
why? Why 9 p.m. Pacific time?
I can't figure out the reason for why it was so
It's
late.
a big fuck you to everybody is what it was. Which we'll get into on our actual wrap-up show, but I kind of felt like the conference was that way in a little bit too.
It's all right.
They did have 3 things that were like legitimate, genuinely new completely. The Dishonored DLC, which is you're like tracing down Roger Dorn from Major League or something.
Was it the Death of the Outsider or something?
Death of the Outsider, yeah.
The Outsider is the person that gives you the powers in this game. I can't really describe to you what he is. He's on a different dimension of like magic, I guess. I don't know. He's how you get powers.
Video games.
True story. Your main character seems to be a person who used to be with Dowd. Dowd is another person that has powers and an assassin.
Not Dorn.
Yes.
Okay. I thought it was Corbin Burnson.
It's Dowd had followers. She used to be one of them. She's joined the Resistance and is just like your good guy boat driver basically.
With a robot arm.
Yes.
Bethesda. High on robot arms this year.
It's a true story, but in the story she doesn't have this. So this is either way before or way afterwards.
I would assume after.
It seems afterwards.
It makes sense.
And she's gone back to Dowd. That's what the trailer we got is, and they're going to go try to kill the Outsider. It seems like you're playing with her, but if this is a game about having powers, and unless they're going to go a power-free level, which I'm okay with because that game's fun, if they're going powers, they got to go Dowd because he has his own powers.
She looks like she had powers though in the trailer.
Did she?
It looked like she was the one warping around and like killing people.
I couldn't tell if she was warping or just fast and stealthy.
It looked like she was warping. We'll have to go back and rewatch, but it's cool for Dishonored fans.
Oh, I'm super stoked. I mean, Dishonored 2, one of the best games I've ever played. Story was really weak, but mechanically and like just pure fun, the level design is my favorite level design of any game ever. So
I've heard very good things about
I'm really
that.
excited because this maybe looks like better story.
I was going to say, you hope that maybe because this one seems to be like in like little pieces that hopefully, or a smaller piece to the larger puzzle.
Because Battlefield 1, I'm still sorry. It's been a long 2.5 days.
Dishonored?
Yes. Dishonored 1 is known for, like, one of their DLCs, I think it's like The Witches or something like that. I don't know the name of it. It's known for being, like, one of the best DLCs ever created. So hopefully they can continue that trend.
Absolutely. But then the first of 2 new games to close out the show, which Evan is totally going to play, no matter what he says, is The Evil Within 2, which... So, I was not in on Evil Within 1. I thought the story looked kind of lame,
People
and it
love
looked
the game.
more Monster Closet-y than it did,
I can't tell
horror.
You anything about that game.
Like, you're a cop who gets shot, and... Nope, that's Murdered Soul Suspect.
Yes, it is. And I got that game for free.
And it's not good.
It didn't look good.
So I actually don't remember what Evil Within 1 is about, but it didn't look as Silent Hillsy as this one did to me.
This one looked all kinds of like a Silent Hill 2 clone.
Yeah, like
and if it is that
awesome though.
If it's even close to that, this is going to be an amazing game that I can't play.
I'm going to have to watch like a recap or whatever of one because I want to try and play this game. And I'll stream it, folks.
Why have I become such a pussy in my old age?
I mean, hasn't it always been that way?
No, man. When I was a teenager, like, and still to this day, like, I love scary movies, I love horror, but I can't play scary games. It just scares the shit out of me.
That's fair.
I can't do it. When I was a teenager, I've beat Silent Hills 1 and 2. I beat several of the old Resident Evils, although, I mean, scary is not their forte.
Startling, not scary.
Fatal Frame.
Fatal Frame is terrifying.
Eternal Darkness. All that. I lived for that shit. Now I'm like, no.
See,
never.
like, for me, I loved PT. I fucking loved it.
I played PT, and it was all I could do to get through that.
Now, PT was one of those situations where, like, I could watch somebody play a scary game. Nobody's business.
Yeah, it doesn't bother me.
But as soon as you pick up that controller and
then
you're in
it's my
control,
fault.
then it's like, oh god, there's a ghost lady in this house, and she's gonna come running at me out of nowhere, and it's gonna be scary as shit.
Yeah, I played the shitty White Knight game that Chuck
You
loved.
couldn't handle it.
No, I could not. It terrified me.
This man, whatever the main character in this game is, he gets pulled in all sorts of like weird, gross liquids.
Yeah, it's
in
like
this trailer.
We talk about it's like Nightmare Unfinished Swan. And that is terrifying.
Yeah. I thought it looked awesome. You're apparently going back to like find your daughter who you thought was dead but is not.
Man, it looks a lot like Silent Hills 2.
Everything about it, like every time you like they showed
finish.
a lot of areas, and then like they showed your like perspective, and then it cut back, and all of a sudden there was a bunch of guys that weren't there before. There were monsters crawling up on the sides of walls, blood everywhere. Like it was a very, very effective trailer, which I absolutely loved.
A great trailer.
And then to close out the show,
Wolfenstein.
Holy shit.
The new Colossus?
Yeah, Wolfenstein 2 New Colossus.
Yeah.
First of all, I loved the like fake 50s aesthetic, and like Chuck trying to call me out on the like, what about this makes you think Wolfenstein? And I was like, well, first of all, it's like revisionist history America.
Right.
Which the Nazis win in this revisionist history in Wolfenstein.
Or we're still fighting World War II, technically,
yeah.
I think, is what it like. It's in the 60s
now,
I think, and I think
it's
still going on, yeah.
Or this seemed like the 70s. The woman that you had run into had an afro, and
I think they progressed like
later.
A decade from the first Wolfenstein New Order.
Yeah, but this just looked great. Like, it just flat out looked great. I thought
9 minutes of it.
Yeah, I thought the scene in the diner was very kind of Inglourious Bastard-esque. Like,
it was very Inglourious
which I thought was great. You just had the Nazi soldier come in and was talking to you about, wanting to see your papers, but ordering a drink and like being like, the cordial Nazi that you see, like almost like Man in the High Castle. And I think that's why I'm really excited to see like how this game goes. I'm gonna try and play the first one before this one comes out.
Neither one of us have ever actually played this. I've wanted to. I think I've talked about it in the podcast for like 2 years about wanting to play it, so maybe I might have to do that. What would be a cool thing, and Bethesda has been good about this in the past with Dishonored, is shipping shipping the first game with it. Like, you got Definitive Edition Dishonored with Dishonored 2.
I could totally see
I'd really like that.
A PlayStation Plus or an Xbox Games with Gold freebie before this comes out. Which we should mention, the best thing about Bethesda was everything they showed is out this year.
Yeah, all this year.
Nothing is 2018 or beyond.
Evil Within's on Friday the 13th.
And then this is 2 weeks later.
October, yeah. Then this comes. I mean, Bethesda went all in on October.
They didn't want to wait for like November at all. They were just like, fuck it. Grand Theft Auto's gone. We're stealing October.
I didn't. Again, we didn't play the first one, but I don't remember it having as much Far Cry influence. Like the humor, I guess, and the aesthetic really seemed like it kind of seeped in, which I'm okay with.
Maybe, yeah. I can't speak well enough to the first one to really, really know. It gives me like kind of a Homefront vibe to it, in the same time. Like anytime it's or Resistance vibe, I guess. Anytime you're talking about occupied America in a story, it's a very intriguing idea. This game, along with Metro, is like one of the two graphical surprises. Like, man, I expected it to look good, but didn't expect it to look holy shit good the way that it does.
It looked great. There's a lot of people that think this is the best trailer shown so far.
It's
not there for me, but
top
it's
5
really
probably.
Good. Oh, it's absolutely top 5. Probably in top 5 for me.
It sold me on a game that I did not want before this. Like, when you were predicting, like, Evil Within 2 and Wolfenstein, I was like, man, I know people love Wolfenstein, but I kind of don't really want to see it. I'd rather they do something new. And don't get me wrong, I wish they had
Starfield.
Yeah, I wish they had done Starfield or one of their newer.
If that's a thing, I think we don't see that till next year, anyways.
But I'm really glad they did. I'm gonna give it a shot. That might be. I mean, the problem is Shadow of War is that same month or as well. So October is Shadow of War, Evil Within 2, Wolfenstein,
South Park,
Jesus. October's busy. October is busier. Isn't Assassin's Creed then too?
Yeah, but that doesn't apply
to me. It doesn't apply to me either right now. But man, it's going to be an interesting couple of months
South
here
Park
toward the end of the year.
But this is probably right behind it, I'd say, for me right now.
That's fair, absolutely. But that's our thoughts on EA and Bethesda. We went a little bit longer than intended with just two of us, but we like to talk a lot. make sure you check in with us for another video on Ubisoft directly, and then also another one about Sony's conference when it's done. We're getting ready here in about an hour for that, which I'm super excited about.
Microsoft's already up.
Yep. And then also look for an overall E3 wrap-up podcast and video toward the end of the week.
Yep.
Thank you, guys.
Oh, I wasn't ready.
You weren't.
This is my fault.